guys, it's been a long time coming, but I'm proud to announce that my hands are finally registered with the International Registry of Lethal Hands. This is the only place where your God-given gifts of danger can get the recognition that they truly deserve. Now you might be thinking, why on earth would anybody need to register their hands as lethal? Let me break it down for you. There are those among us whose hands are so downright dangerous, they need to be documented. Registration is a moral responsibility, and it's a vote for the greater good of humanity. The sole mission of the International Registry for Lethal Hands is to catalog the most formidable hands on the planet. So if you know someone, and you even suspect they possess lethal hands, do not hesitate. Register them immediately. And if you've ever looked at your own hands and thought, damn, these dogs are dangerous, don't settle. Go register. Head over to registeryourhands.com, fill out a simple form, and you're official. Remember, use the promo code Chael to save 20%, or just click on the link below. The year was a while ago. The weight class was, I'd imagine, 145 pounds. The card was not something I remember. But there was a young man out of Lafayette, Louisiana, young 20-something years old, who was told that he had a really hard fight against an Irish man named Conor McGregor. And that kid out of Lafayette, Dustin Poirier, who at that time was unrecognizable, who at that time, that name doesn't mean much. Nowadays, I could tell you Dustin, I could tell you Poirier, or I could tell you Lafayette, and you'd tie them all to him. How many guys can you do that? Even your big stars with their hometown, right? Not many. You got the guys from Stockton, the Irishmen would probably qualify, and you got the kid from Lafayette. That's what a big deal Dustin Poirier is. But a number of years ago, he was told by somebody that he had a hard fight. And he believed it. And he went out and he fought like a guy who believed he was having a hard fight. Now, I'm talking about Dustin Poirier's first ever matchup with Conor McGregor. There was nothing different, by the way, contrary to what an expert you believe you are and how much you know about the sport. There was nothing different between Poirier's skills the second time he and Conor fought and the first time they fought. And there was nothing different about Conor's skills. Now, of course, that's a broad stroke statement. But it still leads me to my conclusion, which is the same. No matter how much wiggle room you want to give me on the statement, Dustin Poirier could have beaten Conor the first time they fought. Skill-wise. He had the skills, he had the endurance, he had the experience. He had everything that he needed to be successful that night. What he didn't have was an ability to overcome the noise. That little voice in his head that lives in all of your heads. When you hear about experience in fighting, it's not the same as experience in soccer, for example, or tennis, for example. When a guy talks about being experienced or being a veteran, you're talking about your ability in his ability to overcome that voice in his head. When you hear fighters talk about, I'm my hardest critic, or the only fight I have is with myself, whenever you hear those types of things, that fighter has that same voice that you all have. But over time, he not only will learn to manage that voice, he will learn to beat it. Or he won't. And a number of people, even that reach the highest pinnacles, don't. And when it's all over and said and done, they will look back with tremendous regret. And it's not regret of not knowing a certain combination, of not using more knees. It's not a regret of not having gone to enough jiu-jitsu practices. It's a regret of having not realized how good they were, and at the time when they needed it, believed in it. That's a regret. I bring you that because there is nothing about Poirier's fight with Saint Denis that is close. This is one of the most inappropriate and silly narratives that I have seen in my time in the sport. If I could think of a stronger way to say it, I would have. Those are the strongest words that I know to use, and I pick them carefully. Saint Denis is the favorite at DraftKings right now to beat Poirier. Saint Denis, who's never gone 5 rounds, who's never been scheduled for 5 rounds. Dustin Poirier, who is amongst the king of the 5-rounders. There's a few guys you could throw in that category. Khabib would belong there. St. Pierre would belong there. Randy Couture would belong there. Like, there's a few guys that do better longer than short, that have proven it, that have the grit, the toughness, the stamina. There's a few guys. But boy, it's only a few guys, and Dustin Poirier is one of them. That doesn't say that Saint Denis does not have that or possess that. I'm just pointing out and identifying that we don't know, that it's a mystery. Dustin Poirier, who has been world champion. Dustin Poirier, who has finished guys like Michael Chandler, is the underdog against Saint Denis. And by the way, I don't want to disrespect Denis at all. Like, I'm not here to tell you that Denis isn't as good as advertised. He is as good. Dustin's better. If Denis is going to beat him, guys, excuse me, if Denis is going to beat him, okay, let's just break this down into its elements. Do you believe that Denis can outbox Dustin Poirier? Because let me stop you right there. I don't believe you. I don't believe that you believe that. What if we had kicks? And now we're kickboxing. If those two went out and they just kickboxed, do you believe that Denis could beat him? Do you really? Do you believe he could beat him for 3 rounds or the better part of it? Do you really? Do you believe they could beat him for 4 rounds or the better part of it? Do you understand he's going to have to beat him for 5 rounds or the better part of it? Okay, things just got a little slippery for you, didn't they? Okay, fair enough. But if that's not what you hedge your bets on, do you believe that Saint Denis could out-wrestle Dustin Poirier? Is that what you believe? No, you probably don't believe that one. We can probably just stop right there. Do you believe that Denis can submit him? Because don't forget, and I know people love to go back and forth and talk about grappling and the importance of grappling. Grappling is pass or fail. You either submitted the guy or you didn't. Like, you don't get to come away and say, I am so much of a better grappler. I am leaps and bounds better than him at grappling. You either submitted him or you didn't. There's no in between with the judges. There's no in between in terms of grappling per the rule set. It doesn't matter if you're a much better grappler. Can you submit him? And moreover, did you submit him? If either one of those answers is no, I got to throw it out. It's irrelevant to this topic. Now, if you had to bet, you had to bet. Dustin Poirier versus Denis in a wrestling match. Who are you going to take? Think about that. You had to bet. Okay, great. Dustin Poirier versus Saint Denis in a kickboxing match. You have to bet. Who are you going with? Okay, great. Dustin Poirier versus Denis in any set of rules that we understand. Abu Dhabi rules, I prefer the unified rules of EBI. You can look at Polaris. In a straight-up grappling match. Who are you taking? Okay, great. We're going to put all of those things together, and we're going to put them in a card that Dustin Poirier was asked to fight on. It wasn't originally scheduled. He was asked for ticket sales in a local market. Now, it's not Lafayette. It's not the hometown that he chooses to represent. But boy, he's got enough reach. He got enough friends and enough relationships that they wanted him on the card the same as they would a hometown boy. Dustin Poirier wanted it to be 5 rounds. If I'm going to do you the favor and come and fight on a card that I wasn't originally scheduled for, you're going to do me one back, but just spot me a couple of rounds. Nobody wants more rounds. They only pretend they do. He wanted them and he got them. Now, let's say that Dustin's assessment is right. Let's say those extra rounds favor him. We don't know. We don't actually know until we get there, but let's just say that they do. Then the people that are picking Denis are not only picking Denis, you're picking him to stop Poirier early. Do you really believe that's what's going to happen? Because the odds makers do. And somebody has told Dustin, that Saint Denis is better. Somebody has told Dustin that Denis is next and Denis is going to beat him. And once upon a time, somebody told him that an Irishman named McGregor was more than he could handle. When Dustin was able to capture that somebody, step on him, rise above it, he was able to get the rematch and a rematch even after that, showcase and prove to the world that no, his skills were in fact superior. So does that mean that the young man from Lafayette has overcome that voice that's in his head, the same as it's in everybody else's, or is he still listening to it? That's the only thing I have to know. When you tell me how great Denis is, I agree with you. When you tell me the future is bright, I agree with you. When you tell me Denis can beat Dustin Poirier, that Denis is a better fighter today than Dustin Poirier, that's where I have to stop you, because not only do I not believe you're right, you're not even close. The fact that Denis sits right now as the favorite, and that's never moved from the day it was announced to right now, DraftKings, it's gotten tighter, but it has never changed. I'm here to tell you, DraftKings and you are not just wrong, you are very wrong.